Today's guest dives deep into his own beliefs, never reshaping them to fit others' opinions. He sees life in the bigger picture and has never allowed his disability to define who he is. But before we get into this, I want to say a huge thank you to Parliament Square Coffee for allowing us to film. But anyway, let's get into this. Here we go. So Ray, there's only one way to start: male role models. How significant have male role models been to you in your life?
Yeah, very important. In a world where men are, often referred to as toxic and masculinities being bashed in a way, I think positive male role models has definitely been a massive influence in my life, and it's very, very important to me.
With the absence of having your own dad, how was it? Was it hard to find these role models, or do you feel like you actively had to be open to finding them, or you were able to they naturally came to you?
A bit of both, to be honest with you. So obviously, I didn't know my dad growing up, but my mum did marry again. She had kids and had a family, and I didn't quite seem to fit in. And I don't know whether that was like a natural thing or whether it was a choice from me, or I don't really know how that panned out. But I went to live with my nan and my granddad from a young age. I think I was about 7 or 8, and my granddad became that father figure.
Was he that first?
Yeah,
initial?
100%, yeah. But then I started to notice as I was growing up. So I had a really good friend when I was, around that age when I moved in with me nan and my granddad, and her dad was a really good, positive male role model. Got my first girlfriend when I was like 13. Her dad was a massive, influential person in my life, a really good, positive male role model, and I'm still really good friends with him to this day. But yeah, when I look around my life and everywhere I go, I always seem to adopt these father figure types in my life, and I think it's very important to me. Yeah.
Staying around that question, do you feel like you had to be open for them people to come in? Because obviously, I know it might be a few years back, thinking back, but do you think you had to have the openness to be like, to learn off them basically and listen to what they're saying, or actually regard them as a role model? Do you know, like be open to take their advice or listen to them?
Yeah, I mean, when you're young, people will tell you things and you might not necessarily listen to them at the time, and you will make mistakes, obviously, we all do, but, when you get a bit older, sometimes you can reflect back and you can think, what they were right, or, I'm glad I had that person that told me not to do that, and sort of, as a male and a young male, just keeping you on that straight and narrow, the discipline, that you sort of you need is it's important. So I don't know whether I seeked it out, but I was very open to it. Yeah.
Well, even if you weren't looking for it, because as a kid you probably weren't emotionally intelligent enough to know to seek it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still had to have that thing about yourself to be able to open to the advice, open to listening, open to learning off these older people. Because obviously, if you're not doing that, you can't bring in the role model, can you? Do you think some people
No, yeah,
don't take
yeah.
it on board?
Without ever having thought about it, to be honest. No, I agree with you. I've always been one for like learning about things anyway. My friends will probably say I'm quite boring because of the things that I watch and I listen to, and none of my friends really are into sort of the things that I am in terms of, I quite like education and learning about life and culture and politics and this and that and the other that most people don't care about. But yeah, I think from a young age I've always been open to learning. Yeah.
What traits and morals do you think were like the most important that you learned, that you would still like, say you carry them with you today, or like something that you got taught that really path your future, shall we say?
Never apologize when you're not in the wrong.
Okay.
You know, just things like that, like standing up for yourself
Mhm.
and, you know, being fair. Like
Mhm.
fairness to me is massive. Like I hate injustice.
Mhm.
I hate it. So fairness, as I say, standing up for your beliefs and not really caring about what people think of you. Like, so growing up disabled, you know, I always used to walk to school and I'd have my sleeve rolled down and
Mhm.
my grandad would always roll it back up
Mhm.
and I'd always roll it back down and he'd say, no, that looks stupid flapping about.
Mhm.
Always roll it up, you know. So I back then as a kid, I probably did care about what people thought of me. And even growing up into me, like me
Mhm.
young teens, I probably did care about what people thought of
Mhm.
me. Whereas now I've grew up and I don't care
Mhm.
at all
I
what
think
people
we
think
all
of
do
me.
though, don't we? As a kid, I think caring about what your mates in school or people around you in your local area think of you, that's everything at that age, isn't it? Because like that's one of your main priorities. So I
Yeah,
feel like everybody does go through that to a certain extent.
social status and
Yes,
all that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was never really that bothered in secondary
Mhm.
school and, you know, um, leaving school and when I
Mhm.
was a young adult, so to speak. Um, being like's never been
Mhm.
one of my aims, you know what I mean? Like, I always used to joke, I'm not here to be liked.
Mhm.
Like, I believe in truth
Mhm.
and I believe in, you know, as I like, as long as your opinions are sort of like backed up in evidence and you're
Mhm.
not sort of offending people on purpose and
Mhm.
just being horrible to them, then yeah, like that's sort of who I am and
Mhm.
what I'm about.
So, not discrediting like female role models in your life or female role models for males in other people's life, but I was looking at studies and I'm going to ask your opinion first before I give you
Hmm.
any facts. Why do you think either male or a female are better to have a male role model or a female role model beside the gender?
I think they're equally as important.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think one's more important
Important.
or more influential than the other.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that males and females have different roles to play, especially in children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So in my life, for example, my nan was the loving one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she'd do anything for me. Um, you know, she was a bit of a soft touch, if I'm being
Mm-hmm.
honest, like most nans are. Um, but at the same time, she had to be my mum as well, because
Mm-hmm.
I was only 7 or 8, as I say, when I first went to live with her.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my granddad that instilled the discipline
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, very fair.
Mm-hmm.
He was never horrible or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, anything like that, but just sort of letting you know, hang on, I'm the man of the house here. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah. Authority, shall we
Yeah,
say?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you respect,
Mm-hmm.
authority in that sort of sense?
And
Yeah.
your nan was more like, wouldn't say a comfort blanket, but like was be there for like if you needed the caring or
Yeah,
affection
yeah,
or the loving.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just think sometimes, especially in today's day and age, the positive impact that men can have
Mm-hmm.
on, especially young boys,
Mm-hmm.
is sort of been lost.
Yeah.
And you know, I think especially young people having less and less kids these days,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it's sad in a way
Mm-hmm.
because you know we're feminizing men a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're telling young boys and young girls actually
Mm-hmm.
that men can be toxic masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
this talk. But I don't necessarily believe any of that, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
I see what you mean. It's like I think at the minute there is a big balance between men. Either it's like discrediting or there's hate towards men in certain ways, which it does baffle me, especially if that you can see. So, like, here's some studies. So, the first one was 63% of male participants in a psychology study chose a female to be a role model. 75% of males chose they'd prefer to have a male role model for just their own being. This was kids in school. But then when you actually go to the percentages of males who are around, say, you as you're growing up. So 38% had no male mentor for school in school, and 43 have no male mentor for friendships or relationship advice, and 25% had no male mentor for future planning.
So when you think about that then, so what was that, 43% of men, or was this a school study?
Well, this was a school study from primary to secondary.
And was one of them 43% of men or boys as they
Yeah,
be in
boys,
school
yeah.
didn't have a male role model for relationship advice?
Friendship and relationship advice, which
That's a scary thought,
yeah.
isn't it?
Nearly
That
50%.
nearly half of the young boys in schools don't have a male role model there to teach them how
Yeah.
to treat women and, you know, relationship advice, friendship advice, how to make friends. Like I was only born in 92, so, you know, when I was growing up, we had PlayStations and things like that. Yeah, we had them, but we were still out on the streets playing footy and
Yeah.
riding our bikes and stuff like that, climbing trees, going to the swing park and all that. Whereas now, how many kids are going out of the house?
Well, it's probably, don't know statistics, but it's decreasing
A
rapidly.
lot.
A
You
lot,
don't
a lot.
see
But I don't
kids
think
playing in
people.
the street, do you, anymore?
Yeah, I don't think people are allowing the kids out as much as well.
Yeah.
I think that's another issue as
So,
well.
so then you've got these young boys who aren't going out. They're sat in the
Experience,
bedroom.
yeah.
How are they meant to meet people and speak to people and
Socialise, yeah,
socialise
with
and know
other,
how to treat other people?
yeah.
You know, I've got young cousins there, like, and when I listen to the way they speak on, say, Xbox Live to other kids who might be the other side of the world, I think, like, yeah, you wouldn't do that if they were face to face to you because you'd suffer the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But it's dead easy when they're on the other side
Yeah.
of the world on a
And
headset,
you've
you
got
know what I mean?
they're going to get no reaction back, to be honest. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just,
It's quite funny in a
yeah.
way, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's where, you know, the male role model, as I say, can come in and just, why are you behaving like that? You shouldn't act like that. This is how you should be acting, you know?
That's why I think having that, obviously, like you brought up, the toxicity in males that women are showing, it isn't actually helping, is it? It's just making a fact or a point that's not going to change. So, like, this could be a segue when we were talking about pictures, how you see stuff in bigger pictures. They're just doing in the moment now, just labeling male as toxic masculinity without actually going, hold up, there's the issue, but how can we fix that? How can we teach the males that are being toxic? Because obviously there must be males who are to have that label, mustn't there?
100%. I'm sure if we sat here long enough, we could talk about toxic femininity as well. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to find toxic traits in everybody, regardless of gender or sex
Yeah.
or, you know, ethnicity or wherever they're from, whatever they are. Like, you know, you could have toxic traits, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could. But to just label male
All. Yeah.
toxicity, like, you know, what does it even mean?
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't know what it means.
And
It's,
you're not getting nothing from it.
no,
There's no movement, there's no give or take. It's just a static statement that can't be fixed. We can't improve it. We can't change it. And there's
yeah.
not much
I think that's done on
clarity
purpose,
underneath it.
though. I do think that's done on purpose. If you look around the world and, you know, the sort of political world, for example, that we're in society, there's a lot of examples, which we won't go into today, but there is a lot of examples of them sort of labels being thrown about that don't particularly have much meaning, don't particularly solve anything by using the labels, but they're there to sort of use as a weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a question of, right, that person is showing this trait, let's fix it, as you're saying. It's that's that, because it's easy for me to just say that. And that's like,
And
it's
brush it off.
point scoring almost, you
And
know?
it's also, it's hiding the fact of the issue, isn't it?
Yeah,
as well?
exactly.
It's easy to do that.
Exactly, and I'd encourage anyone look at the statistics of, you know, males in prisons and things like that. How many of them grew up without fathers in the home? You know,
Well, I thought the school was a big one as well.
the statistics are really high on it. So, you know, if we're gonna try and fix some of the problems in society, then I think, you know,
That's a start.
males, you know, and again, you know, toxic masculinity trait, you could say fathers who aren't active in the kids' lives. Well, let's
Yeah.
make them more active then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What barriers are in the way for them not? What is the reason that they're not active? Is the barriers in the way? Is someone putting barriers in the way of these men who don't want nothing to do with their kids? Or are they actually just toxic people that don't want to know the kids? Let's figure that out and see
Yeah.
what's going on there. You know what I mean?
So staying around male role models. Now, you're a dad yourself.
Recent
Recent,
5 months.
5 months actually recent. So since becoming a dad, how much has being a huge role model to your son be at the forefront of your mind, and what are you striving to implement and teach him?
Scares me, you know, because he is only 5 months, but like even now I'm thinking, what happens when he's like 13, 14, 15, 16? Like, what sort of world are we going to live in? You know, how easy is it for him to gonna go down the wrong path as opposed to the right path? What sort of things do I have to do from now to keep him on that right path? And I've sort of come to the conclusion that leading by example is the only way, you know.
Yeah.
If you make yourself a role model,
hmm
in my mind, for my son, if I make myself the role model, you know, work hard, you know, that
hmm
sort of stuff, then hopefully he'll want to follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's no reason not to, is there? Because
No,
like, if
absolutely not.
if from a young age that's all you know, why and how are you going to think any differently?
Yeah,
Because we all are.
exactly.
We're all products of what we learn and what we see as a kid. Like, you see it so many times. People say even you are the person you are by how like your mum and dad argue, or how they deal with situations, or seeing how they react to stuff is so important as a kid, isn't it? Because then
Yeah.
even when you're not thinking, it does still go into your mind, doesn't it? And
But then there's factors involved that are out of your control, isn't there?
Mhm.
So, you know, when he grows up, you can't pick his mates for him. He's going to pick them himself.
Yeah, true.
And you know, people are going to be influenced by the friends, but I feel like you've got to make yourself more influential, and what you're doing's got to be more desirable than if you've got friends who want to drag you down the wrong path, you know?
Yeah, it's having that discipline as well, and to basically, okay, let's nip that in the bud, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
do it before it's too late. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah. You know, I don't see anything wrong with, I think discipline's very important. I probably never had enough as a kid and got away with absolute murder. Um, But I was always self-aware enough to know that if I was like, you know, being a little bit naughty or whatever, that I was being naughty. It wasn't, it was a choice. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
wasn't who I am, it was a choice.
true. Yeah.
So as I say, trying to make myself more desirable to I want to be like you than I want to be like them is very important. And
Important. Yeah.
that you know, hopefully he will grow up and he'll be like, yeah, I want to be like my dad, and I want to go out and I want to work hard and earn money and, you know, have nice things like
Yeah.
that, rather than, you know, the alternative, which, you know, will be a choice of his own, but he's got to make that choice himself.
And the only thing you could say is, if he makes the wrong choice, then you're just there to guide him to learn from that wrong choice, because he might need to at certain points. That's like people mean. You've got to be there to protect them, but I think only to a certain extent. Do
100%,
you think?
yeah. Yeah, you know, they're only kids for what, 16, 17, 18 years
Yeah,
now.
and then
And then
they're
you're
off in the
always going to
world.
be the parent, but you know, the people have got to make their own choices and decisions and mistakes in life, and you know, as long as they learn from them, then that's fine.
I want to read something you said linking to this.
Okay.
I don't want to give the baby everything I never had. I want him to become a young man with respect and discipline.
Yeah.
hmm
And to add on to that, I want to give him the tools to be able to go out and do the things that he wants himself as well. So, you know, if he wants, you know, nice clothes, nice car, nice house, nice this, nice that. you know, hopefully the tools that me and his mum give him as a young man will then enable him to be able to go into the world and be able to get them things for himself. You know, I never had everything given to me on a plate. Don't get me wrong, my nan and my granddad looked after me, but we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't, you know, I didn't have the latest clobber, and you know, we didn't have a car in the home or nothing like that. We just lived a very basic life. So, you know, not that I wouldn't give him that if I had it, but I don't see what you benefit from just being handed stuff on a plate.
True. It's like you're not actually learning any life skills of like work ethic or drive to want to actually obtain it. It's always just, if it's always given to you, why would you ever want to seek?
How can you appreciate it?
Yeah.
You know, if I give you, you know, a new phone now, you know, and you smashed it in an hour, what's that mean to you? But if
Nothing.
you saved up for 6 months, a year, and then went and bought your phone yourself, you know, you'd want to look after it, wouldn't you? If you smashed it, it'd probably really hurt, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Because, you know, and that's sort of a little sort of example of the bigger picture, like we said. Like, you know, if you just give someone everything, how can you appreciate that?
Very true. You can't. It's just you wouldn't know how to, or how to. Obviously, you wouldn't know the feelings to having to sacrifice or to work hard or use them hours to do extra work or make
Yeah.
more money. You just end up it being nothing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think life's about meaning, isn't it? You know, and in that meaning, I think sacrifice and appreciation and all these sort of feelings that we have and things that we have to do all build up to that bigger picture of meaning. If everything's just given to you, where's the meaning in that, you know?
Definitely. Slightly coming away from what we're just speaking about here. As you mentioned, your granddad was a pivotal role, shall we say, to especially you showing to embrace a disability that you had. From our conversation, it's clear that you embrace who you are and don't let your disability define you. Aside from male role models, what do you think has carried yourself? How do you think you've carried yourself in this way to be like this?
Um,
And not to, like, I don't think there's a care, if you know what I mean. I don't think you have like, it doesn't bother you, or it doesn't, like, you don't let it define you, shall we say, in any way at all. From
no,
how I
my
see it.
disability doesn't bother me at all. Like, you know, there's people way worse off than me. You know, there's not many things I've come across in me 33 years on this planet that I can't do. Or, you know, I'll find ways of doing it, you know. I don't know. I honestly don't know why I am the way I am or the way I think the way I think. It's just, I think it is just a culmination of 33 years of life experience. And, you know, once I sort of got rid of that feeling of caring about what people thought of me, because I think truth matters, you know, words have meaning, truth matters. And I think that has sort of guided me to be the way I am. So I am quite opinionated on things, but I don't apologise for it because I wish more people would say what they actually think. And, you know, there's an old saying, isn't there? Like, stand up for something or fall for everything. And that's just me. Like, I'll stand up for what I think and I'll stand up for what I believe in. But I'll also stand up for you and, you know, me mates and stuff like that, like unapologetically, because that's just the kind of person I am.
That's interesting though, because there's a lot of people that would just sugarcoat something or say an opinion just for that moment to like pass, or just to win the gratification of somebody else, which is
Can't do
very.
it. I can't do it. I'd rather people hate me for who I am than like me for who I'm not. It's dead hard being an actor and playing a role and not being yourself. You can do it for a couple of hours maybe, but, you know, a prime example of this would be, you know, that TV show Big Brother, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, when they all go in, you know, the first few days, they're all nice to each other, aren't they? But then, you know, they act They can't keep it up.
Can't keep it.
And after a few days and a week and a couple of weeks, the real them starts coming out, you know what I
But they
mean?
realise they have to be around these people more than just
Yeah,
a few days.
it's that hard, isn't it? I'd rather just be myself. And I know so many people that are one person with me and another person with another person and a different person. And it's like, that's got to be dead hard.
And it can't, I don't think you can ever move in your situation of life because you're constantly backtracking in a circle of like, there's no movement to improve or change the situation because all you're doing is going round in circles because you're playing up to, for example, you said, an act to this person, an act to this person. So there's never like being honest, moving on from that. Either they're in your life because they respect your opinion and your honesty,
Yeah.
or they leave, and then that might be what's needed to then you to push on. But if you're constantly giving them the sugar coated example or opinion, you're just going to stay in that circle.
Find friends who love you for who you are. You know, I wouldn't say I've got loads of mates, but I don't want loads of mates. But the mates I've got, I've been mates with for 20 plus years, you know, and I've never been anyone different. They've never been anyone different. If I wasn't me, people would pick up on it straight away. So what's the point in even trying?
There's no point. So even with you saying friends had no issue, you had no issue with friends in school, you had a great group of mates that you formed from school.
Yeah.
What was it like actually being, so this is personally for you, was it hard to properly understand and process, obviously, having a disability? Even
No,
no, was it fine to
no, because I've never known any different.
any different?
So like,
I was more meaning like, so when you see yourself with your mates and say when you were first getting in terms of school,
Yeah.
was it difficult with like, oh, they don't have that? Like if it
No.
was you, no, you were
No,
okay with that?
so like I say, I've never known any different. So if anything, you're the weirdo for having a full arm, not me. Do you know what I mean?
True.
But I played footy, cricket, golf as a kid. If I think back to primary school, I was in the school footy team. Never had any issues.
Do you think you were naive ever? Naive to the fact to never actually think of it, but then that accidentally just became your personality?
I
And then
think people say to me all the time, like they'll ask me to do something, and I'll go, I can't. Like I've only got one arm, and right, I forgot. I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. And then I'll laugh then because it's funny, you know what I mean? But people do, because I think if you make the disability you and your personality, that's all you are. You're defined by a disability, and you're focusing on the things you can't do rather than, you know, going out and doing things that you can do. You know, I can play golf one-handed to a decent standard. I don't know about yourself, but I'm going to guess that you can't even play golf
No,
two-handed.
I
So
can't.
in that situation, who's more disabled?
Me? Yeah, there we go.
Do you know what I mean?
But people would just, if it was being opinionated in a room, if it was just a picture of me and you, people would go, obviously he would be better than him. But you don't know the story behind that, do you?
Yeah, that is true. And, you know, I'm not naive to the fact I'm disabled. I know I am. You know what I mean? But I accepted it at a very young age. Like, I was part of the school footy team when I was in primary school. And then I didn't really pursue it into secondary school. And I did give up playing footy sort of completely. And my reason was, I've never seen a professional footballer run around the pitch with one arm, so I'm never going to be a professional. So what's the point? What's the point in trying to do that? Because that's not going to happen. So let's go and do something that I can do.
That is really interesting because I've never thought of that myself, but there isn't, is there?
No.
And I think people do just go for, say, shall we say, a mold, or what looks like every other person. So he's a photocopy of him, or he's a photocopy of him. Nobody ever goes outside the box and like actually just goes, okay, he's absolutely unbelievable. Let's just go for him. No matter like looking at who he is, how he thinks, what his traits are, if he has a disability or not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think like we're naturally sheep, aren't we? Like humans, like we just
It's
follow.
easy to be,
It
isn't it?
is easy to be just a follower, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And sort of like stick to norms, and it's scary putting yourself out there. Like, you know, I did a few videos for YouTube in my old work playing golf,
Mhm.
and it did worry me. It worried me about what the comments would say because I know
Mhm.
like the YouTube world
Oh,
and the
people are
internet,
just
it can be
yeah.
horrible. But I thought, no, I'm not bothered.
Mhm.
Like, I genuinely don't care. So when the videos come out, I read through all the comments, and every single one of them was positive.
Mhm.
I promise you now, we can go through the comments now on all the videos. There's not one negative comment,
Mhm.
and it's sort of like it paid off putting yourself out there,
Mhm.
taking opportunities when they come
Mhm.
around, because they don't come around too often, you know.
Very true. It's actually just not caring about what is to come, positive or negative. And I try and think about that myself. So like when I first started doing this, I was thinking, if I get a positive message or I get a negative message, they have both done the same job.
Yeah.
One is only going to make me feel better. So both of them have viewed or tuned in or watched, been a viewer. So both have given me the same outcome.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling that it gives me.
Yeah, I'm not really too big on feelings, to be honest, because
Hmm.
feelings can change like the wind.
Hmm.
So
That's what I mean. So
yeah,
I can have
so
one positive that makes me feel good and one negative, but I've still just got the same outcome no matter
exactly,
the feeling.
exactly. And I think, like, you know, in this world of living, we only
Hmm.
get one life, and I think happiness and contentment is what you make of it, where you
Hmm.
find it.
Yeah.
And I find happiness and contentment in just being me.
Hmm. Yeah.
That like
Truly. Yeah.
it's that simple. Like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I live a life of luxury at all, because I really don't.
Hmm.
Like, um, but material things have never been important to me.
Hmm.
As I say, truth has been important to me, and um, you know, just well, now being a good dad's important
Hmm.
to me. Things like that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Having me friends around me, that's important to
Hmm.
me. You know, money and all them, that's just what
It's
you need.
mimetic,
It's
isn't
just
it?
what you need to
Yeah.
get by, isn't
Yeah.
it? To buy your food, to keep
Hmm.
yourself alive. That, you know, all of these are a bonus.
Hmm.
You know, you have things like cars, which are luxuries, and
Hmm.
they're just a bonus in life, but they'll never make you happy.
No.
So, and I think if you've got one life, and at the end of it, you're just gonna die anyway, why waste that life being someone who you're not?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
I'm not ever going to change the world in terms of, you know, changing the world quite literally, but I can change my son's world, you
Hmm.
know, and make him have
Hmm.
a happy, content life, and
Hmm.
be content with the things that he's got, rather than be jealous
Hmm.
or bitter over the things he hasn't got.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can be there for your mates. You can have
Exactly,
great experiences with them. So
exactly.
it's
You know,
what you can do,
some of
isn't it?
the best memories in my life is just being sat in my mate's house on Friday nights, and you know, we might get a few tins in or whatever, but just having a laugh.
Hmm.
It hasn't cost a penny,
Hmm.
apart from whatever the few beers cost. But you
Hmm.
know, it's them little things, because they're meaningful.
Hmm.
You
They
know,
last longer, don't they, as
they
well?
last by
Yeah.
far longer. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, more about disability in general.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, I can't speak from experience, so I just want to get your point of view on this. Why, if you do, why do you think it can be easy sometimes for people with disabilities to focus on what they can't do? And do you think it quietly puts limits on them over time? On what, like, they put
Um.
limitations on themselves over time by
Yeah.
trying it.
I think it's I think it's instilled in them from a very, especially people like me who were born with them. You know.
Hmm.
So I played golf for a golf society called the One Arm Golf Society. I'd never done it before. It
Hmm.
was a couple of years ago, actually. And I met probably 31 arm golfers.
Hmm.
Some of them some of them had two arms, and they might have had a stroke, and
Hmm.
they've lost complete use of one arm.
Wow.
Some people were born with that, like me, and then there
Hmm.
was other people who had terrible accidents and they'd
Hmm.
lost an arm. they're the people I feel sorry for. Not sorry in that sense, but like they've lived, 40, 50 years with two arms, and then all of a sudden they've got to
Gotta change.
change
Yeah.
and learn again.
Well, your day-to-day life completely changes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Veterans,
Mhm.
who've lost limbs in wars and stuff like that. But in terms of if I'm thinking about myself and people like me who are born with the disability, if I think about my life, it's instilled in you from day one. People are overprotective. They constantly remind you that you're disabled. They constantly, like, if you climb in trees, they don't want you to climb the tree because you've got one arm, you might fall out of it. You know what I mean? But, the kid with two arms can fall out as well.
Of course.
It's about falling out, getting yourself back up and doing it again. You know what I mean?
Learning from it.
I could ride the bike at a young age. Didn't bother me. I just think, you've got to have them people around you who don't see it as a limitation, because subconsciously, if you're told all the time that you can't do something,
You obviously are gonna.
yeah,
You
and
obviously are gonna think that, aren't you?
I've met people who are disabled. They've been born disabled, and their disabilities their whole life. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even have to be a physical disability. Like I've met people who've got like mental sort of difficulties, or depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And they have people around them who do nothing but reinforce that sort of, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it constantly just psychologically in your head. If you're constantly if you've got someone there making up excuses for you, then you've got you get out of jail free card, haven't you?
Yeah.
Don't want to do that today because I'm depressed. Okay, well,
Yeah.
sit there depressed then. You know what I mean? Let's see how happy you are.
Do you think it is? Do you think that leads to pity? And what is your opinion on pity? Do you think
Don't
pity?
like it. I think it's the worst thing you could ever give somebody. I think pity is, if you're sat there and you're just in a pit of misery, then and especially if you've got people around you who are emphasising that as well, like I said, like, get rid of them.
Do you think then people around you who are empathizing it or actually giving you pity, do you think that actually their action is to do it to make themselves feel better, to not actually help you?
Yeah, I think there's probably two parts there. I think they're doing it to make themselves feel better, in terms of, I'm a good person because I'm making you feel better, because I'm reinforcing your sort of, and you're gonna look up to me, or look to me, because we're allies in this now, because I feel bad and you're telling me it's okay that I feel like this. Yeah, just get rid of them. It's not something you need, because, as I say, you get one life, and no one knows when that life's going to end. So why waste it? And why waste it having people around you who aren't going to try and help you fulfill your life as much as
And
possible?
uplift you
Yeah.
instead of just
And
keeping you
actually make you feel. I'd equate it to, if I had a family member who was a heroin addict, the easy thing for me to do when that family member starts taking is to go and get them a bag of heroin, because that's the short-term fix. It's the easy thing to do. But the empathetic thing to do, if we're going to use that word, which I also don't particularly like, would be to let them just take it out, get them the help so that they never take heroin again. So they depend. Do you get what I mean
I get
by
what you
that?
mean. I do truly get what you mean, but I feel like that is it's a very interesting point for you to say that, because I think if we got 100 people in the room, I only think maybe 10% would give that answer that you've just said.
Yeah, but
Because it's the hard
maybe
thing.
the other 90% haven't thought about it, or maybe the other 90% aren't that invested in the person that they're claiming to be invested in.
Yeah.
You
That's what I mean. So it's like,
there's a lot, there's not a lot I wouldn't do for people that I care about.
it's doing the hard thing, isn't it? It's
I'll
actually the
I'll
easy
be
thing,
the
but-
villain all day long if it means you stop taking drugs. And you can hate me for the rest of your life. But if it means you stop taking drugs and you get yourself better, or, if it means you get out of your bedroom and go and have a fulfilling, meaningful life, I'll take that, because I know I've done the right thing then. But I would probably rather walk away and let you, maybe find someone else or deal with it yourself than just reinforce it. Because I couldn't be that person just to keep reinforcing it.
It would end them just being reinforcing an endless cycle of no change. Or no...
Which to me is completely pointless. And I don't like doing things that I think are pointless.
Very true.
And that's across the board in work. If work asks me to do something and I think it's pointless, okay, I might do it because I have to because I'm in work. But they'll know that I think it's pointless. I will make a point of telling them that this is completely pointless and I'm not happy about doing it because I don't see the point in it. But yeah, what's the point? It's a waste of time,
And it's not changing anything or improving anything or bettering anything, shall we say. So staying around that, you said, I can only see the big picture and things. I want to get your thoughts, and obviously you've said it there, but what is the full grand scheme of the importance of seeing in the long-term picture?
Well, I think it's important, isn't it? So if you have a thought, take the thought to its logical end conclusion. Don't stop halfway where it suits you and your idea, and maybe don't stop where it might emphasize your bias, if that makes sense. If you've got a thought or an opinion on something, we'll take that to its logical end conclusion then, and let's let it play out to where it's naturally going to lead, and then we can have a conversation. But if you're just going to stop and have confirmation bias and not take it to that logical end conclusion, there's no point, because you're not willing to learn. You're not willing to change your opinions.
You're not open, are you?
No.
You're not. It then turns, shall we say, into a debate. And then once it turns into a debate, then it's somebody wants to win the debate, and then
It's a competition.
It's a competition. And then you lose the fact of one having an opinion and another having an opinion and just understanding.
Yeah, I don't like debates. Prefer conversations, because with debates, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about who can reel off the most facts as possible there and then. Yeah, it's point scoring, isn't it?
Yeah.
A debate. No one's learning from a debate because you're not there to learn. You're there to win. Whereas a conversation is embracing someone else's ideas, even if they're completely contrary to what you think.
Well, that's like what me and you are doing right now, isn't it?
Exactly that. And I think, I'll certainly walk away, because you've asked me a few questions that's made me think about things that I've never thought about, and answer questions that I've never been asked before. So I'll walk away learning something, maybe thinking about something.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the only way you do learn. I feel like in life, the only way of learning is actually hearing another person's opinion or thought or ideas, and then either implementing it because you think it's positive, or learning, no, that's not something I want to implement. But you've still, both ways, either if you agree or disagree, you've learned the lesson. But you've got to be open to
change. Challenge yourself, argue with yourself.
And you being wrong as well. I think it comes down to ego quite a bit as well.
100%. If you're gonna have a debate with anyone, have it with yourself. Argue both sides of why you think something or why your opinion is that. You know what I mean? If you're gonna research things and look up statistics on things, don't just look up the statistics of what confirms your bias. Look at all of it. You know what I mean? Like, go on pages that you might not necessarily agree with, and have a look and read and listen, but go into it with an open mind. I think a lot of people are scared to learn and change their opinions and stuff, especially in these days with the age of social medias and stuff like that, because I'll watch a lot of YouTube videos about society and what's going on in society. I'm sure you've seen all these protests and that we've had in recent years. And I think they are more like cults, because I think the people in these protests, their opinions and thoughts are all encompassing. and they're sort of bullied into not being able to go, well, I agree with you on that, but I don't actually agree with you on that, because then they get shunned from the group, and people are scared of being shunned from groups, because we are like social creatures, aren't we? You know, as we said before, we are like sheep.
Well, it's fitting, isn't it, to the
Yeah.
fact? And if you come out the fit, and then it's like, you can't be a part.
Look at what COVID did to people.
Yeah.
You know, during COVID, you know, it was, you had families like grassing on family members for not social distancing or whatever it may be, you know, just because they might have had a difference of opinion on a vaccine, or they might have had a difference of opinion on whether it, you know, the COVID was
what it was,
or whether people said, actually, I don't really trust the media because they lie about pretty much everything. So, you know, and that did, it tore families apart. You know, I know families where brothers and sisters don't speak to each other, and they haven't done since COVID because of that. You know, so I think people are scared to change their mind, and people like will just die on that hill of being wrong because they're too scared to lose friends over it, or whereas it's never,
or even themselves. Be honest,
it's never bothered me.
Yeah.
Losing friends has never bothered me. Like, if we're gonna have an argument about something, and that means that you don't want to be my friend anymore, we were never friends in the first place then, because I would never do that to someone who I considered a friend, because we can disagree respectfully. We don't need to fall out over it. It's not that deep. You know what I mean? Our friendship means much more to me than this opinion. Whereas I think people make their opinions their whole character, personality, and
how they live their life.
Yeah, and that becomes the most important thing to them. And again, I think social media's got a lot to answer for
So,
that.
with social media being one of the big factors you said, do you think social media, by being able to follow what you want to follow, be interested in what you want to, and only watch that, do you think it becomes easy to them fitting into them ideas because all you watch is what you want to see? Because it's easy to.
You put yourself in echo chambers, don't you?
Because then you don't see nothing around, because all the algorithm then gives you is the same
confirmation bias, yeah.
But then
and
you
then
don't see anybody else's.
you hear the same lie over and over again to the point you think it's true, and then you're not open to listening to maybe someone else's opinion, or researching, or because researching's hard, it's difficult. It's easy just to watch a video and have someone who you quite like tell you, and then, you know, there's another old saying, isn't there? You've never had a thought that's truly your own. You know, everything that you think or say, someone else has thought it before you, or
well, you've learned it from somebody,
yeah,
from somebody,
yeah,
took it from somebody by just like, oh, somebody said that, or somebody, that action somebody that you're seeing in the street, on the telly.
Yeah,
you
and
take
you
that,
know,
don't you?
it's easy to get drawn in, isn't it, to people who look like you as well. So, you know, someone dresses like you and has the same sort of clothes styles as you, and that, well, naturally you're gonna go, well, they look a little bit like me, so oh well, you know, they think that, so maybe I'll think that too. You know, again, it's never truly bothered me. You know, I don't particularly have a fashion sense to sort of be lured into, or anything like that. You know, I've changed my mind on a lot of things over the years. Like,
but that's life, isn't it? That's what you do as you get older, do you think?
I think you have to. I think if you're the same person at 33, which I am, as I was at 18,
how'd you get
what's
through
that?
life? Yeah.
Like, that's sad. That would be sad if I was if I thought the same things now as I did at 18. What a waste of time that would have been.
There's no movement, is there? There's no
No.
change.
No.
Yeah.
That would have been sad, wouldn't it?
Very much so. Now, you left school at 14, 15.
Yeah, yeah.
You looked after, you and your nan looked after your granddad, who was diagnosed with dementia.
Yeah, dementia, yeah.
Which led to you not getting your first job till you're 27.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through this period, if you like?
Yeah, so my granddad was a bus driver all his life, and he retired, and can't remember exactly how long, but I'd say within a year got diagnosed with like dementia.
Mhm.
And at that period, I was still in school. Didn't really know what dementia was, but you know, to me, it was like cancer of the brain or something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Thought he didn't realize it was this long disease that is just, it's the worst. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Is
So
it very
yeah,
slow?
yeah.
Is it?
Especially when you see them every day.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you don't sort of realize how bad it gets. Um, until maybe your auntie knocks on the door who hasn't been up to see you for a couple of months, and my granddad opened the door and he's like, "Can I help you? Who are you?" And then you're like, "Whoa," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, school was never that important to me. Again, like school was never about learning; it was about passing exams. It was about who had the best memory. Like, it was good for socialization and stuff like that, but the school of life was always more important to me. I was getting on trains and traveling to London on my own when I was 13. You know, when I was 7, 8 years of age, like I said, I went to live with my nan and my granddad. They lived in Liverpool. My mum and her family had moved up to Huddersfield. I was getting on trains to Huddersfield on my own
At
when I
that
was
age.
7, 8 years of
Must have
age.
built character though. That must have built a character in you.
Don't know. I say just the school of life. You know what I mean? Them things were always more important to me because I always felt they'd get me further in life than learning algebra and geography. You know what I mean? Like, just things that, like, yeah, okay, you needed to maybe go to university or something like that. But again, I never really valued university as a concept anyway. Big believer that it should only be for people who are clever enough or rich enough. It shouldn't be open to just anybody going, you know what I mean?
I see what you mean. I see, like, in some cases you think there's a lot of stuff where you could just learn from experience. I think apart from, say, STEM or core subjects, to be a teacher, to be a
Yeah.
doctor, to be a lawyer, to
Yeah.
be in any sector of work like that, I think everything else, I think more creatively, or say if you go to do business or media, I think a lot of times you can learn by just actually throwing yourself in there, experiencing it, doing
Well,
the
I
work.
was never going to be a doctor or a lawyer or go and have a trade. You know what I mean? I was never going to be a scaffolder, for example. So I was only ever going to do the kind of thing that I do now. So yeah, it was never that important to me. I was never interested in it. My family was more important to me. My granddad was more important to me, you know. My nan couldn't go shopping, for example. My nan's one of them, like, nans that go shopping every single day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it got to a point where she couldn't go shopping because she couldn't leave my granddad in the house on his own because it's not safe. But she also couldn't take him with her.
Yeah.
So it was more important to me to be able to stay at home and look after him while she went and did the day-to-day
So
life.
then she could socialize in that aspect of
Yeah,
her life as
exactly,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then when he passed away, I sort of had a year where sort of like, you know, was in a bit of a mind, in a bit of a bad place, to be honest. You know, my granddad was the first person in my family to sort of pass away, and I didn't really know how to deal with that. So,
How did you process that? Or were you able to at that time?
I remember the day he passed, well, the night he passed away, we went to the hospital, he passed away, seen him for a bit. I went home, just went straight to sleep, and I slept for hours. And my nan and my mum and all them, they went into my nan's back garden and set fireworks off for him. I missed it. I slept for hours and didn't really process it as the sort of weeks went on, and you know, you start to naturally miss that person. Like, it got more difficult. And then one day I was just like, nah, like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? I always had the excuse of, oh, I'm looking after my granddad and that's the most important thing. But now I didn't have that excuse. Not that it was an excuse, but
Yeah.
now I'm
A
just
priority.
I'm just sort of being a bit lazy. So let's go and do something. So yeah, I went back to college first to do English and maths and accountancy. I passed them within 6 months. They were both year courses, but I've always been quite clever, so
Yeah.
sort of just smashed through them. Mainly because it helps on the CV, doesn't it? You've got a
Of
couple of
course.
qualifications, English and maths. So, yeah, I got my first job, worked ever since.
Do you think, I know obviously when we were speaking, you said you wouldn't change it, of course. But how was it for you? Obviously, I know it was a difficult time. Obviously, with your granddad, how big of a role model, him passing. But for you through them times as well, because you said stuff as like, I was floating, a lack of meaning to life. Personally, through them times yourself, were they isolating? Were they tough?
Yeah, very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thought about death a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been something that scared me, death. It's
Mm-hmm.
always just been something that's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I was that suicidal,
Mm-hmm.
but always just thinking about like 25 now,
Mm-hmm.
26 now, I'm soon going to be 30, then I'm nearly 40, then I'm halfway to being dead. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
very, very depressing. I'll bring me mates and I'll be like, do you want to do this today? And they'd all be like, can't, I'm in work, you know? So, yeah, very isolating, to be honest with you.
It must have been hard though as well because it was you not being able to say relate, or because you were obviously having to look after him, which you wanted to, but then if you wanted to go out with your mates, it would have been hard because they had
Mm.
their own lives, own careers, families, whatever, etc. What was it like coming away from that? Was it difficult to get away
No,
from that
no,
and coming out of it?
no.
No.
It was the best thing
Mhm.
I ever done
Mhm.
because I don't understand how people will happily sit at home and not go out and work and find meaning in life.
Mhm.
Like, someone that never worked
Mhm.
till I was 27, as I said, like in the time, you think you're happy, you think it's easy. You think
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't have to do nothing, getting benefits or whatever it may
Mhm.
be. But going to bed whenever you want and not having to get up for anything, and when you are awake, you haven't got anything to do, no structure, no
Mhm.
plans, no nothing, but existing.
Mhm.
That is so depressing, man.
Mhm.
Like,
I
there's
can
people
imagine.
out there that genuinely can't work and, genuinely can't do
Mhm.
things. And,
Yeah.
I'm obviously not like
Mhm.
putting that on them people, because there are people out there like that. But for a lot of people, they choose not to do that.
Mhm.
And,
Well, it can be easy, can't it? It's like a
but
theory of excuse, isn't it?
it's not easy. It might sound it.
Mhm. In the moment,
In
shall
the
we say?
moment, it might sound it.
So, like when people make the excuse of, "I'll start that on Monday. I'll do that. I'll do
Yeah.
that next. I'll start that next week. I'll start that plan next week. I'll start doing that next week." Instead of actioning
Yeah, and
what needs a change.
sitting at home and doing nothing sounds it's hard. It's mentally draining.
I
There's
can
only so
imagine.
much Jeremy Kyle you can watch, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my god, like I remember it. Like, whether I went to bed at 10 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, it made no difference. If I got up at 8 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it made no
No
difference.
difference.
Whereas now, like, you get up, you go to work. The thought of going to work is by far worse than actually being in work. I love going to work. Literally wake up every morning, I'm like, oh.
Well, it gives you life, doesn't it?
But then you go and meet people and you speak to people and your day goes dead quick, and you go home and you felt like you've accomplished something, and you actually feel proud of yourself. And that for me is dead important, actually feeling proud of myself, like, of doing what I've done. And
It's taking tasks off, isn't it? Just like having a routine of, I have to wake up because, well, let's put it this way. In life, we should all be served by something. If it's a job, if it's having kids, if it's people who we're providing for. And if you don't have that, what
what are you?
what is life without that? Even as a kid, you are served by what you
Where's the
do.
meaning? What does it mean? What does your life mean? If we was to, like, I don't know, maybe in the future, come back and look at your life specifically, what were the stories that were told? You know what I mean? If you can't think of anything, then what's the point? Like, where's the meaning in it? You know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
I love all the jobs I've had. Like, I love the job that I do now because I find meaning in it. Like, um, and yeah, it's important to me. It makes me happy. Like,
I think a character. This is my opinion to you, so you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But what I see from that is resilience. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think
Um,
coming through them times you were resilient, and do you think
yeah, you've
that
got to be,
comes with
haven't
age? Do
you?
you think that comes with age as well, though,
I think it, I think
and
it comes with growing up in
experience?
Liverpool for a start. I don't think it's easy growing up in Liverpool. I don't know what you think about that.
I think it can be a challenge because it's a personality of how we are. We do challenge each other.
We are different, aren't we, than anywhere else
I
I've
think you
ever
go
been.
anywhere else and it's very subjective to like you stick to your own people. Where over here, anyone can have a say about anybody, and like
Yeah,
it can be quite for some people from the outside. You could say what they're saying could be quite like woke or like whoa,
yeah,
why would
yeah.
they say that? But here, it's like just deal with it, go with it,
Character
and
building,
character,
innit?
yeah. And I think it's how you react to it as well, though.
Yeah,
Reaction. Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that literally being brought up in Garston,
Mhm.
it does. I think it gives you that resilience anyway,
Mhm. Yeah.
naturally. You know, I grew up in the 90s under the bridge in Garston.
Mhm.
Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't exactly the life of luxury, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think
Yeah.
that naturally would make anyone resilient.
Mhm.
Um, and then, you know, it's what you do then and
Mhm.
the choices that you make and how you are as a person. And that solely comes down to mindset.
Mhm.
Like, if you allow something to hold you back or to stop you doing something, that's on you, and you
Mhm.
need to change that.
Mhm.
And
True.
again, the only sort of way that I found by doing that is by surrounding myself with people that encourage that rather
Mhm.
than like be negative, you know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah. Or put that down.
Put that down,
But
yeah.
I think maybe that character as well that you get built from the resilience makes like who you are and who we are, and especially say the city. Like there's a lot of characters in the city, in
Yeah.
all different subjects of different walks of life, different roles. There's a lot of characters that have come out of it, and maybe that does come from having that resilient background of like the banter or.
I think the history of the city
Mhm.
itself, you
Mhm.
know, and anyone can look that up themselves. If you're from the city, you'll know
Mhm.
the history of
Yeah.
the city. But, you know, we say Scouse not English for a reason.
Mhm.
And I think it is different. And I think the rest of the country does look at us and treat us differently.
Mhm.
But I think that's out of jealousy, to be honest
Mhm.
with you. You won't find anyone in this country that is more prouder of where they're from than Scousers.
True. Yeah.
And
You say it with pride, don't you? When somebody asks where you're from, it's like
100%.
yeah, I'm from Liverpool.
I go to London quite a bit.
Mhm.
I've met a few people from London. And whenever you ask them where they're from, and the same goes for Greater Manchester as well.
Mhm.
Whenever you ask them where they're from, they'll tell you a specific area
Yeah.
in London.
Yeah. Mhm.
They'll say, "Oh, I'm from Hackney," or "I'm from
Yeah.
Brixton."
Mhm.
You ask a Scouser where they're from, they just say Liverpool.
Liverpool. They don't go an
They don't
area.
go, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm from Speke," or
Yeah.
"I'm from
Mhm.
Wavertree." They go, "I'm from Liverpool."
Mhm.
Unless you're talking to a Scouser,
Yeah.
and then you'll go,
Yeah.
but
But
you
from
know,
outside, or if
from
you're
the
on
out,
holiday and
you
people go,
just
"Where are you?"
say,
Yeah.
"I'm from Liverpool,"
Mhm.
and I like that because
Mhm.
I think that shows the togetherness of the city.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think
I think it's the pride, like being proud as well to be from the city and be open to be like, yeah, that's where I'm from. This is my roots. This is the people. That's why I think it connects more, and I think that's why there's like a togetherness.
and I look at old school Scouse fellas.
Mhm.
You know, if you think about like your mates' dads or whatever,
Mhm.
how old are you?
I'm 20.
So I'm 33. So my mates' dads are, you know, they're either sort of mid to late
Mhm.
50s, maybe even 60
Yeah.
now. And I look at them fellas and I think, you's a boss. Like, I love going in boozers around Liverpool and meeting
Mhm.
school scousers,
Mhm.
like, because they're funny,
Mhm.
they got banter, they're respectful, but still not scared of putting you in your place if you need
Mhm.
to be
If
put
you.
in your
Mhm.
place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't find that anywhere else, I don't
No,
think.
definitely not. Not at all. Now back to what we were talking about with resilience. You're clearly a deep thinker, as we can say in this conversation. So I want to get your take on this. Do you think resilience is something that you consciously build or something life forces you into?
Oh, do you consciously build it? No, I think it's something that life forces you into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, conscious means you're doing it on purpose. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're faced with a bit of adversity or a choice, then the choice you make is a conscious choice,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, naturally.
Obviously, yeah.
But I do think you're forced into making them choices.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I think the easy answer to say it's probably a bit of both,
Mm-hmm.
and that probably is
Yeah.
correct. But you know, if you're not forced to make tough choices in
Mm-hmm.
life,
Yeah. Would you actually do them?
would you
Would you
be
make them?
resilient in the first
Yeah.
place? You know what I
Well,
mean?
if you've got an easy comfort blanket or stuff comes easy to you, you would never use the resilience to come out of that
No,
box.
you
That's
wouldn't
what I was
know.
thinking when I was coming up with that question. I was like, well, it is because you've got to have a factor in you to want to go and do it. If there's no drive,
If you take yourself, for example, like you just said, you're 20, you made a choice to put yourself on camera
mm-hmm,
and interview people because that's what obviously you're passionate about
mm-hmm,
it. But it's not a natural thing to do.
mm-hmm, true,
So just by you making that choice and then putting yourself out there to do that,
mm-hmm,
that's built a resilience in you that will, the experience of doing that
mm-hmm,
will stay with you forever because the next time there's the opportunity or the choice there, that's something that, you might not feel too comfortable
mm-hmm,
with, or, you, you go, well, I've already done it.
mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
know what you mean.
Like, I'm
Mm-hmm,
not scared of comments on YouTube, or
mm-hmm,
I'm not scared of putting myself out there a
mm-hmm,
little bit or taking a risk, you know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? So, yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I
mm-hmm,
think you can be forced into it. Me growing up as a
mm-hmm.
kid,
Yeah.
sort of forced into it. You've got the
Mm-hmm,
choice. You can either just get on with it, or you can feel sorry for
mm-hmm,
yourself. Well, I was never gonna feel sorry for myself.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little bit of both.
Definitely. I can't disagree with that at all, that answer. Last part before we go into some other stuff. It's a section on quotes and thoughts. So there's no main agenda or topic. It's just things you said or things we spoke about that I just wanted to fit in to get your thoughts on.
Okay.
So um the first one is on opinions. What's your thoughts on opinions, as everyone's entitled to have one? But do you think at times people think they are entitled to their own facts?
Yeah, everyone can have an opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but they are very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna have an opinion, at least make it informed.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what we were talking about
You know.
before, about the debate.
Yeah.
It turns into a debate if they think it's a fact.
We can have subjective opinions on things like the taste of a drink, for
Mm-hmm.
example. I might
Yeah.
like, you know, a certain drink, and you
Mm-hmm.
might not.
Yeah.
And that's an opinion. There's no
Mm-hmm.
facts. No
Yeah.
one's right or wrong
Yeah.
there.
That's
That
just,
is
yeah.
a pure subjective opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're gonna have a conversation about something where there is facts involved,
Mm-hmm.
then let's get the facts right. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Because your opinion will never trump my facts.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
And then I think it's experience as well. So if you
yeah.
are given an opinion on an experience or something you haven't faced, then how can you do that as well? Because I think that is a big issue. I think people do also give their opinion on stuff. Maybe they don't even have an opinion because they've not experienced it at all to be able to give that.
Yeah.
It would be like, say, example, me talking about having a disability but never actually experiencing that.
Yeah,
Because how could I
it's
have an
so
opinion?
it's sort of like why I don't believe in the word empathy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really think it exists,
Mm-hmm.
because if we think about the meaning of the word empathy, it's to put yourself in someone else's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So I don't need to put my hand in the fire to know that it burns.
Mm-hmm.
I naturally know it's going to
Mm-hmm.
hurt and it's going to
Yeah.
burn.
Mm-hmm.
But the meaning of empathy is that I can imagine what the pain feels like. Well, you can't because you've never
You've never
experienced
done
it.
it, yeah.
You only know what it feels like to put your hand in a fire if you actually put your hand in that fire. So I'm not really a massive fan of the word empathy. Again, I think it's very overused and weaponized these days, to make people feel good about themselves and try and put other people down as not being empathetic or this, that, and the other. But yeah, yeah,
It is a quote from you.
from me.
Yeah, from
Oh
you.
God, it better be a good one.
I am my brain, my thoughts, not my physical body.
Mm,
hmm
yeah,
That interested me because I was like, it really shows a light on your appearance or what you actually have, say, if it is a disability or a look, or you are not physically or as strong as somebody else, faster. All you are actually is, when we break it down, a human, is your brain and your thoughts, isn't it?
I'm sure that's been said before, so I'm not going to take the credit for that
Mhm.
quote. But yeah, like, you know, th- I, I just think, like, I think scientifically that is probably just a fact.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your body is just what everyone sees, isn't it? Whereas your personality and your thoughts and your feelings and all of them sorts of things, that all comes from your brain, doesn't it? So
Definitely.
and that is who people fall in love with, people gravitate to, you know what I mean? Like, people, that's what people respect about you. They don't respect what you look like, do they? You know what I mean? Or your body, so to speak.
So, when we were last speaking, I asked you to get in touch with somebody, and you
Right.
told me to get in touch with your mate Andy, which I basically asked him his opinion of you and how he saw you as a person through
Right.
your eyes.
Okay.
And I, I don't
Did
normally.
you see the nervous leg change then, by the way? Yeah.
Well, I don't normally say why I do it, but I will to you because I think it'd be quite interesting to tell you. So I ask people that question from a friend, a family, or whoever they pick, and ask it at this point, because everything we spoke about, if it's an honest conversation, parts of what this person puts in should fit in some way into who
Okay.
you are. So that's why I
I like that concept.
Mhm.
That's a good concept. I
that's why
like
I
it.
add it in, because it shows who the person is talking about what they are, because somebody else from externally has said similar things. So it's like, it must be right. It must be what they think then.
Okay, this will be interesting.
Okay, here we go.
And
Ray.
I am seeing him in a minute, by the way. So if this isn't good,
Ray is loyal, intelligent, opinionated, straight talking, misunderstood. He wears his heart on his sleeve and comes across like a man made of steel, but in reality is a big wally. Always thinks he's right. The most lovable cunt you will ever meet. My brother from another mother.
it's made me quite emotional. But if I was to sum myself up,
Mhm,
it'd be that.
mhm,
That would literally be it. And that's come from someone that I've been really, really good friends with since I was 13, so 20 years now.
mhm.
Um,
Well, he said you met when you were in year 7.
yeah.
And when
Oh,
you
well,
went to
actually,
4.
okay, so yeah, we would have been
Yeah.
11 then, wouldn't we?
When I was speaking to him, he said you were met
Yeah, no,
then.
he is right. I got that wrong, yeah.
That is strong to have a relationship with a friend for so long. Like, you must have both helped or been there for each other through highs, for lows, for good
So
stuff.
we've never had an argument.
No.
Never.
hmm Why do you think that is? Just understanding of each other.
Yeah,
hmm
literally respecting each other
hmm
and respecting each other's boundaries when it's been needed.
hmm
You know, understanding each other, being loyal to each other.
hmm
We've never had an argument.
hmm What I also do like is, you said, if I was to write that, I'd say exactly that. So I like that you have people around you who would be completely honest. Like,
I wouldn't
that shows
expect any
honesty.
difference.
hmm
You know, when you said you you were going to speak to Andy for a statement, part of me thought he was going to stitch me up, to be honest. But no, you could probably ask 2, 3, 4 of my other mates, and they'd probably give you a similar sort of question answers. Sorry, because I am me, and that's what's important to me. And you know, me and Andy don't think and agree on everything. You know, but we get on because we are who we are, and we can't be anybody else. So.
Well, I have a closing tradition on the podcast, and it's called the walkaway. And the question is, if somebody walked a day in your shoes, what's one lesson they'd learn?
To not care about what people think here. Don't care about what they think of your thoughts, opinions. You know, don't care if they're looking at you. Just don't care. Like, why are you bothered? Like, there's certain people out there that I do care about what they think of me. Obviously, that's just natural.
That's just your very close
You know, your very close
circle.
circle. Like that does bother me. But anyone else in the street, or I don't care. Like, I don't care what people in work think of me because they're not my friends. Like, don't care about what that fella in the street thinks about me. Don't care what any of these people watching this think of. I don't care because I'm not going to change who I am for nobody. You know what I mean? So
I do love the honesty though, and I love the self transparency of being able to just be.
I'm very self-aware. Very self-aware. I know that some of me thoughts, feelings, opinions are controversial. Not bothered because they're my thoughts and my feelings and my opinions. So why would I care whether you don't like them? You know what I mean? Like, you don't like them, then don't listen. Don't talk to me. Don't be my friend. I'm not bothered.
And you're completely in the right way to have them. And it's just like, it's a breath of fresh air, and it's nice to actually speak to somebody who truly, truly, deep down, believes in what he believes and talks about what he does in the most honest way. So all I can say is 100% thank you for your transparency and opening up about all tough times, and I've really enjoyed the conversation.
No, you're welcome, and thanks for asking me on. It's been an eye opener to me as well. Like, as I said, you've asked me questions that I've never been asked, and I will genuinely go home and think about what we spoke about, because again, it'll be something that I can learn from, and to me, that's only a good thing. You know what I mean? So, and keep doing what you're doing as well, because I've enjoyed this, and I've watched previous episodes as well, and you're doing a good job. So for someone who's so young to do what you're doing, to do it to the standard that you're doing it, like, keep going.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No problem.